Alright guys, how's it going, Eastbayanglers? Today we're talking all about big baits, but we're not just talking about big baits today, we're talking about big, expensive baits. I don't care if we're talking, it doesn't matter if it's top water, it doesn't matter, if it's a swim bait, a giant rat. Today we're talking giant baits, big baits, and we're talking expensive baits. Are they worth the money? A lot of people go out, they spend a lot of money on these big baits, and I don't want to talk today about, we'll talk a little bit about, about what catches fish and the most productive and some of the swim bait companies you might want to invest in because they're the best. But at the same time, I want to talk pros, cons, I want to talk cost, and I want to talk what you're getting and, what you're in for if you invest that kind of money. So here goes. First of all, before you guys even invest or think about investing into big swim baits, you have to invest in big swim bait gear, which means you're going to have to get the right rod, you're going to have to get the right line, and you're going to have to get the right reel. You're going to have to understand a little bit, you're going to have to read a little bit about fishing with swim baits, and in general, you're going to have to invest time. Going out there and throwing big swim baits without a lot of knowledge is just nonsense. So you're going to be looking at not only an investment of money here, guys, you're going to look at time you're going to have to invest. So one of the things I want to talk about is how big baits, I don't think, are worth the money. And one of the reasons I say that, big expensive baits, and the reason I don't think they're worth the money is I had a lot of them. I had 22nd centuries, I had black dog baits, and I had a variety of 316 baits, and I was lucky enough to have the Armageddon, the 316 Armageddon OG. That was the newer one, and that was, oh boy, I had these primo lures, and I spent a lot of money on these. I fished them at the right time of year at certain lakes that they would work. I did not have a lot of fish. I couldn't catch a lot of fish in a single day. You're basically going for one bite a day, and just one bite at a time. And that's big baits in general. So when you're fishing these, just remember, before you invest that money, this is gonna be something you are gonna have to invest a lot of time and money into, and then you're gonna have to understand it a little bit, put some time in again on the water, and it'll pay off. But you're not gonna get lots of bites, you're gonna get big bites. So a lot of the times what people do is they use big swim baits to draw fish out. A lot of times, well, all the time, bass are very curious in nature, like every animal, and they are curious. So when you come around and you toss a giant trout swim bait, a lot of times they're not going to hit it, but they'll follow it. They'll nose up and follow it, just curiosity, like what are you doing here, and they can tell it's not real. But drawing them out allows you to come back in 45 minutes and fish that area with a different baits and try to get that same fish to react. So there's a lot of reasons to fish big baits. A lot of times, if you've got heavy plants of rainbow trout, throwing rainbow trout, big rainbow trout baits, that's something that is rewarding. If you've got a high population of shad, and you're able, to get away with throwing giant baits, like at Clear Lake, for example, it's awesome. But for the majority of the places you're gonna go, big bait fishing is gonna be tough. So investing all this money is going to get you the better products, but just remember, guys, there are certain places where big swim baits are not meant for. So there are going to be some fisheries you're going to go to. Things are not going to go your way. They're not going to be easy, and it's not ever going to change. And that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of lakes, fisheries and such, the fish tend to key in on a certain length of bait fish or crawfish, and so if they're keyed in on 3 or 4 inch, it's hard to go out there and throw a 10 to 12 inch bait if there's nothing else natural that is that large. But so some of the pros, guys, to throw in the big baits is you get to pull fish out of cover and then come back and have a chance at trophy fish. The second reason you want to fish big baits is because they do catch big fish. Now, the only problem is you might fish 7 days before you catch a nice fish. You might get some rats. These big baits do tend to catch 2, 3, 4 pound fish. And to go out there, put out that kind of money and time, invest all that and get some 2 to 4 pounds. Now, we call them those rats only because we're fishing giant baits. We're going for big fish. We're going for trophies. So, in general, if you don't have a lot of money, you can get away without buying those really expensive baits. Let me tell you how. Huddleston, Huddleston, Huddleston. That's all you got to do is buy some Huds and you're good to go. $10 to $30. They're not going to last forever, but I'll tell you what. They're going to outfish a lot of those hard baits that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Not only are they going to catch more fish, not only are they cheaper, they're going to catch bigger fish, but consistently. In my experience, it's using those, and Huds do come in a variety of sizes. So there are some larger Huds, and they're fairly reasonably priced. Like I said, $30, and get them 10 inches, 8 inches, and I'm going to tell you guys that is what you want to invest in if you are not, full of, you don't got tons of money right now. Those are the swim baits, big ones. They work. They've always worked. And a lot of times I see people throwing these Romans, and they do catch big fish, but there's a time and a place to pull out a big bait, and you guys really need to do your research and figure out when that is. Generally, where I'm at in my state, it's gonna be January, February, March, maybe early April. That's, maybe even the end of December. That's really when I'm going to, throw on that big bait and see what happens. Alright guys, so I think that's about everything I want to cover today. Is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it on big, expensive baits. I think, if you guys want to go out there and start fishing big swim baits, start out with those Huds, get good at it, and then if you fall in love with it and it's awesome, right? Then invest that money. Invest in all that money. You might not even like fishing big swim baits. It is an acquired taste. It's also extremely crazy to have hundreds and hundreds of dollars at the end of your line that can snag up at any moment. So all this considered, guys, go with a Hud. Go with a Hud. So Soft baits produce 70% of the fish. Hard baits produce 30%. That's a pretty much statistical average. So in that, regard, the HUDs are going to get bit more, 70% more, and 30% of the time those hard baits are going to get bit. I hope this helps, guys. Spending all the money doesn't always make it, spending a lot of money doesn't always give you the better bait. It gives you the feeling that you have the better bait. It gives you the confidence, maybe. Maybe it gives you a high to throw that bait. But yeah, when it comes down to the results, if you look up the bags that the Huddlestons have, caught in tournaments, and just from regular anglers or hardcore anglers, it's incredibly impressive. Stay tuned.